In the last video, I already introduced you to a NAS that I wanted to use as an offsite backup. Many asked in the comments how I plan to create an offsite backup when it is in the same rack as mine, so I thought we would set it all up together today. I will explain in detail what this offsite backup is all about, and as always, that will be after the intro. Enjoy. First of all, let me explain why this is considered an offsite backup, even though it is not offsite from my own location. It is not my data that I want to back up, but rather data that is actually stored at another location and is being downloaded here. What is most important to me is that the NAS here is not publicly accessible, meaning there are no port openings or anything like that from this NAS itself. Instead, the NAS here should download the data from the remote location. The reason is simply that if something were to happen at this remote location, for example, if the server is hacked, then the access data for the backup server is not located there. Instead, the NAS that is on site cannot access the backup NAS at all. Accordingly, the data here seems even a bit safer in my opinion, as there is also a TerraMaster NAS at the other location, which I believe offers a good price-performance ratio. As for the hardware, it's a nice little case with plenty of hard drive options, a 10 gigabit network connection, and so on. However, I would like to use a different operating system because I haven't had the best experiences with the TerraMaster's own operating system. Especially when it comes to backups, it all seems a bit messy. So I have 3 different operating systems to choose from. First, there is TrueNAS, the regular TrueNAS, then TrueNAS Core, and of course Unraid, which I have tested in the past. For me, the only condition that the operating system must meet, besides having good backup capabilities, is that I do not want to use a hard drive to install the operating system, as I only have 5 hard drive slots available in the case. And I actually don't think it's a good idea to waste one just to run the operating system on it. This could make the option with TrueNAS a bit more difficult, as it is actually designed for a hard drive, and it leans the option more towards Unraid, because that can really be installed on a USB stick. Nevertheless, I want to start with TrueNAS and just try to install the whole thing. First, I disassembled the NAS. I will take the hard drives out here, and then you should remove these 6 screws at the back. It's very important to note that the cables for the fans are still connected here. So then you should actually be able to pull the whole thing out from the beginning. And then you can already see the beautiful motherboard here, on which, if you look closely, there is a small USB stick. And there is the actual TerraMaster OS on it, which is the operating system that the TerraMaster is delivered with by default. So I pulled it out and set it aside so that I still have the operating system in any case and could theoretically go back to it at any time. I would like to use this USB slot afterwards, so I ordered some small USB sticks that can be used at this point, and then I downloaded the TrueNAS Core operating system. I wanted to try TrueNAS Core, first because it is the latest version of TrueNAS. Then I installed it on a second USB stick and connected the NAS to a monitor. I also connected a mouse and keyboard to the NAS, booted it up, and now I've been fiddling around with this menu for half an hour. I'm going through this with you now because after I selected my USB stick as the boot medium, everything actually looks good at first, but then this error message appears. TrueNAS installation on STB has failed. Press enter to continue. And that was it for the installation. Accordingly, TrueNAS Core was already dead. So I started working on the regular tuner, which worked, but it didn't satisfy me because I don't find this OpenFreeBSD very good. It leaves me little room for expansions. And so the option to install Unraid was available. It's much easier. You can simply download the Unraid image creator for this. You also don't need a second USB stick. You can just plug it in once, then prepare the USB stick for Android, boot from it, and it worked wonderfully. I just had to look up the IP address once, enter it, and then I was already on the Unreal interface. Next, I needed to find out which backup options I actually use. There are a lot of tools available, such as rsync. For me, it was somehow a prerequisite that I wanted to use some graphical tool where I can see a bit of what is happening and also set a backup interval. After trying countless tools, most of which failed because they performed the backup in the opposite direction, meaning they could only transfer from the Android server to an external backup medium, I ultimately found Lucky Backup. It's not the prettiest interface. I personally don't like it at all, but it works as it should and can also perform remote backups, meaning it can download data from a remote server and save it on your own hard drive. And with that, my ordeal with operating systems is over. Additionally, with Android, you naturally have the option to add more features, but I have skipped that for now. If you would like to see a complete rundown of my services, feel free to write that in the comments. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Now, all that's left is to install the TrueNAS server in the image rack, and then that's it. I would say we'll see each other again next week for a new video. Until then, take care and goodbye.